Okay, Emmy Awards are just a couple of days away. We're going to do something we've never done before. Rob and I are going to do 26 Emmy categories in 30 minutes. We'll give you our takes on the categories. Some of them we think are simple. You won't hear much on those. Some of those are a lot more difficult. He may even talk me out of a couple of choices. I don't know if I'll talk him out of anything. Let's go, Rob. We're going to go in the order that the ceremony will be on Monday night, roughly the order. We may switch a couple around just to make sense from our perspective, but we're going to do all the comedy categories first. And Rob, comedy supporting actor.
Well, look, this is a crapshoot for me and for you. Burrell versus Ferguson versus Hale versus Brower. Which way do you go? We've seen the episodes. I think Burrell might have it in the bag, but I'm very worried about Tony Hale.
Tony Hale's really getting my attention. I've had Ty Burrell in first for a while now. I just went through and looked at our top 24 users. I don't care about the editors, experts, or all the other users, but those top 24 often really know their stuff, and sometimes they will predict an upset. They've got Ty Burrell in fourth, which really scares me. I believe they've got Jesse Tyler Ferguson in first, which I could see happening. It's his best chance ever. He's good on both episodes that are in this category for him and Ty. I could certainly see Tony Hale repeating. He's got the single best scene, I think, of all four. But Andre Brower's catching my attention, too. You and I both know that if episodes don't help you determine as a voter, if it's something else, other factors, Andre Brower, for months I was predicting because voters are not used to seeing him make them laugh. And I just wonder if that surprise element might help him.
Yeah, it's too hard to say. I think Tony Hale's really good at the end of the episode as well. He won last year for an episode that I didn't think was as strong as this one. And so a repeat could certainly happen. We keep saying Veep's on the ascendancy, so I'm really wavering. But this is probably one that I'm going to switch at the last minute. I'm thinking I might actually just go with Hale and just to hell with it. You know, if I lose points because I didn't pick Burrell at the last second, then so be it.
I'm going to hold with Burrell, but if people want to look at my predictions on Sunday afternoon, I may make a change before they shut down the prediction center on Monday. Okay, we promised 30 minutes, and that one already took a while. Allison Janney, I think, versus Kate Mulgrew for supporting actress. I think it's a lot for Allison Janney. I totally understand why people are going with Kate Mulgrew. The show is set up to do backstories, and she's really the star of her episode. Never been nominated for an Emmy after 40 years on TV. I think if it was any other year, I think she would have wiped the floor with everybody last year. But Allison Janney is just so laugh out loud funny, and she's got a touching moment when she's defending her granddaughter. She gets to sing. I mean, I just think it's a lock.
Yeah, look, conventional wisdom says Allison Janney has this in the bag. She's hilarious. It's a great episode. My problem is Mom is an unknown quantity. It got one nomination. I know Janney, she's special. She's in a different category altogether. But I'm not so sure that it's got a 100% lock, and that's why I'm thinking I'm just going to stick with Kate Mulgrew. I was so impressed with her episode. I think she's a really, really good character on Orange is the New Black, and I think they're going to go with it.
I think if we learned anything, though, last week, and we've known it for years, is funnier wins, and that's why Kate's co-star Uzo won last week over Laverne Cox. Uzo is continually funnier, even though she had way less screen time. Okay, you first on comedy writing.
Okay, comedy writing looks quite difficult because Louis is there. He is a very known quantity with the Emmys, and then you've got Orange is the New Black. Now, it looks like that many people are going one way or another. I think at this point, I'm just checking this now. Gee, I should have really had this. No, I have Silicon Valley in first. I know I've just been sticking with that for a while, but I'm really unsure, and I have Louis in second and Orange is the New Black in third. This one could really go to any of them. I don't think the writing categories necessarily have any particular patterns. What do you think?
Well, I do think they do. They love pilots, whether it's writing or directing, whether it's drama or comedy. I'm tempted to go Orange. The better known quantity, as you just said, is Louis C.K. All of his Emmy wins in his whole career have been for writing, most of them for specials, but obviously one for Louis. And this one, I think, was one of the better, well-received episodes of the season.
And what about, hang on a second, Chris, why are we not looking at Veep? I mean, Armando Iannucci He's finally got this nomination. Wouldn't that seem like the obvious pick? We're not even really thinking that he might even take it.
I think the writers did a great job with nominations here. I could see that. He's also well respected. I don't know that that was their best episode of the year, though.
No, yeah, that's the problem. That's why I have it in fifth, because I didn't actually think the special relationship was any good, personally. And yet here it is, and that's why I'm not thinking it's going to win. Good point. Okay, let's move on.
Comedy directing. Modern Family, I think, versus Orange. You've got a very known quantity in Jodie Foster for Orange, but not at the Emmys. You've got Gail Mancuso, who just won last year for directing Modern Family. Modern Family is on a real roll with directing wins. I didn't pick them last year. I thought Beth McCarthy Miller would win for the finale of 30 Rock, and I had it totally opposite. The finale won for writing and not directing. So I'm going with Gail. I've learned my lesson there. I totally could see Jodie Foster winning, but this was my favorite episode of any comedy series of all of last year, and that was Las Vegas for Modern Family. I'm going with Gail.
Well, mate, we haven't really had much disagreement yet, because I think Las Vegas is certainly in with a shot. And Gail Mancuso, come on, she won last year. She's a great director, and she's obviously very, very supported by the Academy. But I'm going with Jodie Foster. I want to see another crazy Jodie Foster speech on the podium. Maybe I'm willing it to happen too much, but I'm going with Orange is the New Black on that one. Las Vegas is certainly a possibility, and I think a spoiler here is Silicon Valley.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Silicon, could win something along the way, and I would think its better shots would be probably writing first and then maybe directing second. You first on comedy actor.
All right, now, we've gone over and over this, all of us have. Gervais versus Parsons. Parsons has won 100 times. He has a pretty good episode, but I don't think it's anything completely out of the box. On the other hand, Ricky Gervais, that episode was insanely good. I think that's one of the best submissions that I've seen in years. I just was so taken by it. I'd never seen Derek before, and I'm going with him. But I've got to say this. I just said about Janny that Mom is an unknown quantity, even though Janny is an Emmy magnet. The same thing can be said about Gervais. And so I'm really, really contradicting myself here. I'm going with Gervais, though, because I was just so taken aback, and I really fell in love with that episode.
Well, and we all discussed the emotional impact of a couple of scenes in that episode, and normally I wouldn't go for that route of it because, as you know, I always pick the funnier of the bunch. But the whole middle section is very funny with him on the date, so it's not like it's totally serious. And he's surprised in this category before with what I thought was a very sarcastic and somewhat mean performance, and this one he's totally lovable. So I think it is Ricky. Jim Parsons, if he wins, ties the all-time record with 4 for this category, and he's still got 3 more years. They just signed new contracts to try to tie that record. I think they're going to hold off and let him do that on another year. All right, comedy actress. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, speaking of winning a bunch of them, this would be her 3rd in a row if she wins. Melissa McCarthy has an outstanding episode where she visits the psychiatrist office. And I'm still, Amy Poehler, I love her episode. She gets a little drunk. She saves the day for her town. She even though she loses her job. So, but I think Julia. I haven't stressed over this one like a lot of people. I know Melissa could win. I know Amy could win if they want to finally give her an award. But Julia's on a roll like Candice Bergen used to be on, and like Helen Hunt used to be on. And I think she's about the most loved person in the TV industry right now.
Okay. It's no secret. This category is driving me insane. I can't stop thinking about it. I literally sleep over it. I write emails to you guys constantly about it. Seriously, I get it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she's smashing it on Veep. There's really nothing like her. She is the queen. I get it. She should win. Everyone thinks she's going to win. But that McCarthy episode blew me away. And it's the same principle again as Alison Janney and Ricky Gervais. The Academy don't really love that show. They've given her an award before that was probably on the back of Bridesmaids. This time, it's really just going to be on the merit. And I've had her in first for weeks, and I'm almost about to switch her with Julia because I just think I've got to follow the pack. But damn, I just can't pick this one. I really think McCarthy's in with a chance. And now I want to do my best Tom O'Neill impression. I don't agree about Amy Poehler. No way. I think she has really no chance in this one. I love her. I want her to win a bunch of Emmys. It ain't happening this year with Parks and Rec.
Well, you know how much I love Amy, and someday she is going to win. Maybe it'll be next year for the last season. If other factors weigh in, she might finally get a trophy there. We're going to skip comedy series for now, just like the Emmy ceremony is going to hold it till almost the very end. We're going to hold it for the end here. We're basically going in the same order that the ceremony will be Monday night. So next up is reality competition, my least favorite category in the world because I hate reality shows. But The Voice won last year. The Amazing Race has won almost every other year. Who do you think?
I'm going with The Voice again. They do love to repeat themselves. They really can't help. They love reruns. They love reruns, and they're going to go with The Voice again. And if they go back to The Amazing Race, I think there'll just be so many groans in that crowd. The only thing I think that has a slight chance of peeping them both is Project Runway.
Okay. That's enough on that one. Voice, I think, too, just as a repeat there. I think it's even gaining steam in terms of popularity. And the win last year was not a shocker, but it was a little surprising. Okay, the movie categories. Let's start out with movie writing, and I'll go first. I think it's Normal Heart. I think they want to reward Larry Kramer. This is his story. Mark Ruffalo is basically playing a version of him. I think they would like to see him win that category. Fargo, though, Noah Hawley wrote the entire season. He's up, for one particular episode, and I think that's certainly possible. The one that's got my attention now, though, is Sherlock. After it did so well last weekend, this may be its one shot of reward for the primetime ceremony. I could see that happening, but I'll just hold steady with Normal Heart.
Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. I just sound like Meatloaf. I think Normal Heart has got this one for those reasons exactly. But I've got to say, even though this is going to be a bit crazy, even though I've got Treme in sixth at the moment, I can see the possibility of the Emmy voters, if they really want to go there, given that it's such a beloved writer, that maybe that might happen as well. But anyway,
remember, it's not like Oscars where when you get to the winners round, it's everybody voting for everything.
Right.
Whether
Right.
you're an actor and you don't know anything about art direction, it doesn't matter. This is a writing panel. This is writers voting about writing, and
Exactly.
yeah, he's beloved in the industry. I could see that happening. So I think any way that we're looking there. What do you think about movie and mini directing?
Well, this one I've switched because I think Fargo will do it. It has 2 episodes nominated here, which is unusual in the movie mini-series categories. And so I'm going with Beriden's Ass, which is the episode in the snow, the shootout, sorry, in the snow. I just thought that was insanely good, and I'm thinking that directors voting for this will agree. But again, Normal Heart, Ryan Murphy, that makes sense as well. So that's a tricky one.
And he's won once before for directing Glee, its pilot episode. So I'm just going to, on most categories, I go chalk. I'm not going to debate them too much. I don't know that the best thing about Normal Heart was its directing, but I think they're going to go that route. Also, I know vote splitting doesn't happen a lot, but I would even be torn if I was trying to pick which of these two Fargo directors would I vote for, because they're both excellent. So Normal Heart, I think, wins there. I'm going to tell you what, I've had Julia Roberts in first forever on supporting actress, but I can make a strong case for Allison Tolman at this stage, even though she's the most unknown out of this group. I can make a strong case for Ellen Burstyn. They love Ellen Burstyn. And I can make up a case for Kathy Bates, who just won a couple of years ago for 2.5 Men. So, which of the 4?
Oof, this one's a tricky one as well. I've had Tolman in my number 1 spot from the absolute get-go. I will not move her down. Obviously, Julia Louis-Dreyfus seems obvious. She's a star, and she was really, really good on the Normal Heart. But Alison Tolman, to me, owned Fargo. Even though the men on that series were incredible, for me it was all about her. She was insanely good. And I think voters may want to give her that prize. It's like a vote of encouragement. Please keep going. We think you are awesome. And that's where my head is at the moment. What about you?
I would like to think so. I would vote for Allison myself. And she just won 2 Gold Derby TV Awards. But
Yeah.
we both know that when it comes down to quiet versus speeches, speeches win. And
Hmm.
Julia Roberts has
Yeah.
one awesome speech, and I think it's Julia. I think they, and we also know they love movie stars, especially in these
Yeah.
movie mini categories. So I'm just going to go with the obvious and hope maybe it's Allison. It wouldn't bother me if it was Julia. She's very, very good in that. Good for her for doing a TV movie. But we'll keep your eye on Ellen Burstyn.
I
The
agree. I
minute I
totally
read the
agree.
synopsis of that Flowers in the Attic and I saw the words "ruthless grandmother," way back months ago, I just thought, mark her down for a nomination. That's not what she typically plays. So she could win.
Yeah. She can totally win. And remember, like, she just wins unexpectedly. She won for Law and Order Special Victims Unit a few years ago. Then she won last year, right? And she beat more fancied competition. Like, she wins all the time. So that's certainly a possibility. It's
And I
terrifying.
moved her into my number one position last year. It was my biggest move that paid off on
Wow.
the day before.
Very good.
We can
Let's
make up a
move.
little time here. We're trying to get everything to 30
Yeah.
minutes. Matt Bomer wins supporting actor. There's no question. I'm not even going to debate that one.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. If he doesn't win, then the whole planet will just explode. Next.
Yeah, there's too many that we fret over to worry about that one. The
Yeah.
next one,
Yeah.
though, tough. I
Mm.
know most people are going Billy Bob Thornton. I know people are now switching over to Martin Freeman, figuring he was so good in two projects this past year, maybe they'll reward him. I'm personally, again, the speeches, speeches, speeches. Mark Ruffalo, I'm telling you, folks, is going to win this category.
Yeah, I've had Ruffalo in from almost the beginning. I totally agree. This is his. But I get the Freeman thing. I don't really get the Thornton thing, to be honest. I'm thinking Freeman has a better shot than Thornton from Fargo, especially after his excellent interview with you the other day. But putting that aside, this is Ruffalo's.
I think so. There's some that I know there are arguments, but I've so made up my mind that I just don't want to worry over them.
Yeah, agreed.
Tyson, Driver, and Lang. I put Minnie Driver in there because I've heard so many people say, "Oh, the movie was okay, but boy, Minnie Driver just blew me away." And I wonder if there's some voters like that that'll be really surprised. Jessica Lange obviously is always a threat. I've had Cicely Tyson in First Forever. She just won the Tony Award for this last year. She's won several Emmys in her career. I think she's really going to stand out to the voters. It's not a blow you away, speeches kind of performance, but none of these are that. They're not the overly emotional that like we talked about on some of the other ones.
Yeah, I've got Tyson in first as well. That seems like a pretty sure bet, but Minnie Driver is fantastic in Return to Zero. She has a lot of heat. Unfortunately, the film didn't do as well as it could have with the Emmy voters, and I think that hurts it slightly. But she is amazing in it, and credit to the voters for voting for her to put her in this category. But Cicely Tyson just seems like the very big name in this category that will just it's going to be a great story to have her up on the podium winning this award. So yeah, I agree.
The one thing about an anthology like American Horror Story that's I think hurting Jessica Lange in a way. I know she won the first year, but in a way, because you're coming back year after year in a new role, it's almost like if there is an alternative, the voters go, "We'll catch you next year."
Yeah, that's right. It's very difficult.
With the other people, though, it's a one-time only deal. I mean, there's one shot to vote for Cicely Tyson for this role.
Yeah,
Maura Linney
agreed.
last year, same thing,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah.
Again, two things to keep us running on time here that I don't think there's any debate at all. Normal Hearts winning movie, Fargo's winning miniseries. Be a huge shocker if either one did not. Would you agree?
Completely agree. It would be a humongous shocker if any, and I can't even see anything that will take the prizes away from those two. So let's just move on. They're winning.
It's not. It's a matter of their overall nominations. They did pretty well last weekend, but it's also I don't think there's a huge separation between one and two this particular year. It isn't always that way. And if it was previous years and these were up against each other, we would have a real battle.
I know, but no. And if True Detective was there, for instance, that would be a really interesting race in
Oh
the
yeah, True
miniseries category.
Detective might could have beaten both of those.
Absolutely. But here we go. It's Fargo, it's Normal Heart, and totally deserved.
Well, we're running right on the money here. We said 10 minutes per
Beauty.
group, so we're 10 minutes left to do drama. Oh, you and I have fretted over
Uh-oh, we
this one
haven't,
for
right.
weeks and weeks and
Yeah.
weeks. And that's supporting actor Josh Charles, Peter Dinklage, Aaron Paul. It's going to be one of those three.
Oh, I know this one kills me, but the more I think about it, and I do probably too much thinking about it, it's a little unhealthy. I probably need to get out more. The more I think about it, the less I think Dinklage is a sure bet. I think this is really between Charles, who, in my opinion, has the best episode, and Paul, who has a good episode, but is Aaron Paul in Breaking Bad, which is going to be a huge factor. They love him, they love the show, they're going to give it a bunch of Emmys. Ultimately, I'm going with Josh Charles because I just think his episode stands out to me because when you first watch it, it's all about him. He really kills it. Good Wife was on the ascendancy last year. This is a way for them to give it an award, and yeah, I'm going with him.
I've got Josh in first. I might change over the weekend. I'm more thinking Peter Dinklage than you are. Um, Aaron Paul would set the record for this category. Nobody's ever won more than two. He's got two. Not that the voters don't really know that. That doesn't factor into my thinking. I remember after Peter Dinklage's episode aired, many journalists were saying, did he just win an Emmy? When I went to watch it later, I didn't really see what they were seeing, and he appears so late in the episode. Josh Charles is the first 10 minutes of his, and that's what I'm thinking. To keep us on track, I don't think anybody is predicting really anybody other than Anna Gunn in supporting, correct?
Oh, look, this is Anna Gunn's to lose. She doesn't really even have any competition. Let's be completely honest. Christine Baranski's really good in hers, but that submission, unbelievable. So let's
Well,
just
it's
move
just
on. Anna
sometimes
Gunn.
better not to worry too much. Now,
No.
drama, directing, and writing are difficult. Let's talk
Yeah.
about writing first.
Writing is difficult. Look, I'm going with my gut. I think it'll be the finale of Breaking Bad. It could be Ozymandias, which is an amazing episode that people are still talking about, and of course it could be True Detective. But I just think it looks like a finale. Finales win sometimes. It's a possibility, and I'm just going to stick with that because I really can't think of anything really compelling to make me think it's one or the other.
No, I agree. I see so many people just assuming it's going to be Ozymandias.
Yeah,
But I know, and you know Emmy history, and you've had just recently you had Friday Night Lights win here for its
yeah.
finale. Other shows have won for their finales. It feels to me more like they would want to reward Vince Gilligan, and it's just strictly writers voting here. So I'm going with you. I think it's the finale. What about directing, though? Difficult.
Very, very difficult because directing has got the Who Goes There episode, the big tracking shot episode from True Detective, which just won cinematography last week. The Felina, Breaking Bad, big finale from Breaking Bad, and the only Breaking Bad episode in this category. And then you've got Watchers on the Wall, Game of Thrones. That was a big episode about Jon Snow. It was all about him. It had a lot of battles and huge epic sequences. It was very well directed. And then you have the other three, even Boardwalk Empire, which has won twice before, including one that wasn't Martin Scorsese. House of Cards won last year, although that was David Fincher. And you have Downton Abbey, which the Academy loves. This category is one to watch. It's not a slam dunk, but I'm going with the tracking shot episode of True Detective.
That's what I've got to. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, and I can't decide, I just go with what I think was the best, and I think stands out. And I think you got only directors voting here, and so I'm going that route. They certainly could go the Breaking Bad route, but I didn't get through watching that episode and think, wow, that was a wonderfully directed episode. Not that it was poorly directed, but that didn't stand out to me as much as the writing and the performances.
Yeah.
Okay, you and I have also worried over drama actress.
Yeah, drama actress is another one. It's just these leading ladies. They're really giving me a lot of stress. I've got Margulies in
And
first.
really, any of the six could win.
Any of the six could win, including Robin Wright. People just seem to be dismissing her because her episode is a little light on Robin Wright scenes. But that doesn't matter necessarily, okay? It's really important to remember this. All six of them could win. I've got Margulies in first. Some people love this episode. Some people hate it. I think she's really good in it. I think it's a well-written one. Then you've got Danes. Very, very. I can totally see her three-peating. She's excellent in the finale of Homeland last season. Then Kaplan. Kaplan is lovable. I think women will take to her. She has a lot of scenes. She's in it a lot. She has one where she punches a guy in the face. Like, you root for her. You want to hug her. She does nudity. Like, she really is all over it. She's all over the spectrum. So I've got Kaplan as my spoiler, but I just don't have the cojones yet to put her in first. I'm keeping Margulies in first.
And she stands out in one way that's peculiar to this category, and she is basically the only person not crying over a lost love.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's crying, crying, crying,
look
crying.
at it that way, but I did when I watched it, and I just thought, she's the apple in the barrel of oranges. We talk about that sometimes.
Yeah.
I know people are writing her off as winning, but I could see that. And now that we know that they can embrace masters in an acting category, which Alice and Janney won last week, I've certainly got her in my mind. I've got Margulies in first for the moment. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it over the weekend. I may move Danes back in. They certainly don't care about overdoing it.
No.
But Homeland did fall way back, which indicates that people are aware that it had a bad season. I'll go first on drama actor, McConaughey, Cranston. I certainly understand why people are picking Bryan Cranston. I think he would have won in any other year with this episode, but I'm not worrying over it. I've had McConaughey in first ever since the Oscars. And I just think he's having one of those years where he can't lose. People forget, too, he hasn't lost anything in the last 9 months. Not only has he won everything he could win for film, he won both Critics' Choice Awards this summer, and they could have easily chosen Cranston.
That's right. I had Cranston in first for a couple of weeks when the prediction channel first opened. Look, you convinced me, Chris. I think McConaughey has this. You watch the episodes, and then you also remember when it was airing a while back, and people were just so amazed by his performance, talking about it. Then he won the Oscar for the film. I just think it makes sense, but I must say I am a little worried about a Barry Pepper type scenario where you see, when Kyle Chandler won and no one was expecting it. Woody Harrelson is a possibility as well, but I'm going with McConaughey.
Really, anybody they choose here is not going to bother me because Woody Harrelson is also excellent. John Hamm has never won an Emmy. Jeff Daniels is just one of my favorites. And Kevin Spacey has never won an Emmy. So, they really can't go wrong.
They really
Those
can't.
other four, I think, would be surprising, but they can't really go wrong. Now, at the Emmys, next category will be comedy series. Let's hold it for just a second and just say Breaking Bad is winning drama. There's just no question. Last year, I said Homeland all the way up until around this time, and then I jumped on the bandwagon with everybody else and switched to Breaking Bad. This year, there's no question. Breaking Bad is winning this category.
Absolutely. Breaking Bad will win. The only possibility might have been True Detective, but I can't see it happening. It really doesn't belong there. That's beside the point, though.
And True Detective had aired in April, May, or finished up in the first week of June, and still had some real heat around it. I think that would have helped it. But as months went along, and I don't think this affected McConaughey or Harrison, I think people sort of started looking back and remembering a little bit of the flaws of the overall project.
Yeah.
Now, comedy series, we got 2 minutes left in our 30-minute marathon here. I've said Modern Family pretty much for weeks.
We forgot Variety.
Did we? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's not do the Variety. Quickly. I've got Billy Crystal winning writing.
Yeah.
And he will be there. I'll go with, you can't hardly ever, if you're debating, go wrong with the Tonys winning something, so I'll go directing there. And I do think it's the Colbert Report, but Jimmy Fallon is right on his tail.
Yeah, I second all of those. Completely agree. Crystal, Tonys, Colbert, but watch out for Fallon. Okay, let's move on.
And remember Billy Crystal back when he did do variety specials would win a ton of those back in the the 80s, 90s. Comedy series, I think it's Modern Family. I'm not 100% convinced like I have been the past 3 or 4 weeks. I do see Orange right there. I do make a case against an hour-long dramedy winning that. It's only happened once, and that was David E. Kelley, who they love, with Ally McBeal. I do see a case for Veep finally getting in on a writing nomination. but I think it's Modern Family, and I think they tie the all-time record.
Yeah, I'm really happy that they're leaving this one to the end because this is not a sure bet, and we're going
No,
to be
it's not a
waiting.
sure bet like I've been
It's
saying.
really not. It's really exciting. So we'll be looking forward to that. But I'm going with Modern Family. To me, that seems like conventional wisdom. It makes sense. Orange and Veep, just I don't think we'll be able to push Modern Family out of the way. I just don't think they have enough steam and support. But Orange had a great first season, and it was beloved by the voters. And Veep, well, that's on its way out, and it could certainly happen. But I'm going with Modern Family as well. I'm taking the safe option.
I think it's the safe option. And Don Misher and other Emmy producers, if you happen to watch this, and I know you're really busy, you've got to get Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Pierce to present that category. I mean, that'd
be amazing.
So, I mean, they either get to a big sigh of relief that their record is not tied, or they get to be gracious and hand off the win. I mean, that's just so obvious to me.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
30 minutes. We're right on the money here. Rob, good luck with your pick. We agreed a lot, but we had some disagreement, and it ought to be a fun ceremony because there's so many categories that are up in the air.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Join us, everybody. We'll have our 2-hour pre-show right before the Emmys and an hour-long post-show after the Emmys on Monday.